and welcome to Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars.
Hey guys, welcome back. Be sure to check out the show notes at the bottom of this recording because I usually have a lot of cute little tidbits along the way, and you also get to follow me on Instagram at Elizabeth Magical Garden. All the information will be down below.
My name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars. Guys, welcome back to the podcast. I pray that all is well and I pray that all is in great spirits. Guys, we are going to revisit a topic that I touched on a couple of weeks ago, which is going to see the movie Sinners. Now, I know that everybody has been leaving their own reviews, and that's okay because we're doing new things and we're discovering new things. So, along with our discovery, we'll be discussing various topics. I went to the physical movie theater yesterday. Could we give a hooray? Hooray. This is a big thing because since this pandemic, I have to say I have not been to a theater since. I know. I have been waiting or just I'm not a real big movie buff, but in some ways I am. I'm old school, so a lot of the nostalgia, I feel like I would just go on my television in the comfort of my own home and just chill and watch. But like I mentioned in the previous episode, I wanted to support this brother, Michael B. Jordan. He's doing a phenomenal job in the industry. He's a African American individual. I love to see a black man do his thing. And can we just say, sidebar, this man has grown up to be a magnificent specimen if I have to say so myself, because when he first came out, he's handsome. I know a lot of the girlies was falling and swooning over him, and I have to say I see why. I I feel like for me he came across when he did Creed. I really enjoyed his energy across the screen. So for me, when he did Creed, I felt interested in him as an actor. I have to say, hands down, he did a phenomenal job. The fact that he played two characters, it says a lot about his abilities as a performer, as an actor. So, bravo, bravo to him. Okay, so let's get into it. So, there's going to be, I would say, spoilers. At this point of the game, it's been what, almost a month that this film has been out. So if you haven't seen it yet, maybe save this episode. It's so funny how things don't really change that much. It was really cool. I went very early in the morning. Well, I should say very early in the afternoon. I went for a 1 o'clock session, which was right up my alley because, guys, I am not a late movie goer. If I'm sitting in a theater, if I'm sitting in a theater, okay, watching any movie, even in my home, after a certain hour, I'm not going to see the whole movie. I'm going to fall asleep. That's just an ongoing thing, and age has nothing to do with it. I always been like that. So I went at 1 o'clock. I felt like that was a happy medium. I had a delicious veggie burger with fries. Delish, I went to the Alamo theater. So, they give you have the privilege of having to order, you can order something to eat. Now, it's so funny. I started not to want to buy anything. I'm old school. I'm like, I'm going to pay for this movie. I'm going to sit here in this here on movie, watch this movie and then leave. Guys, you know, I did. I even had like a little fruit with me. And the mistake, or I should say, not really a mistake, what I did was I didn't eat breakfast. I have this thing where if I'm going to go out, depending on how close it is to breakfast, I don't eat breakfast. I did have my coffee, which I'm still having right now. I did have my coffee, but I didn't have anything like really like I didn't have I ate a little something, but I didn't eat like sit down and eat a breakfast. I don't know. I feel like it's like maybe like a nervous, like maybe like anxious. I just feel like I don't like to do that because I don't want to mess with my stomach. So I usually tend to continue my fast and then I'll have something either when I get there or when I get back. In this case, I ate when I was there. I got the same thing that I'm a creature of habit. I am a creature of habit. I got the same thing that I would usually get when I used to go to the movie theater, which is a veggie burger and some fries. You can't really go wrong with a veggie burger, I feel. So it was delicious. It was hearty to the point where when I got back, I still wasn't even hungry, guys. So that's a thing. So let's get into it. Off the back, I really appreciated the way they cultivated the movie in terms of the period. I believe it was a 1930s feel. And I just really have an appreciation of so many things. One of them was it was a predominantly black cast for the most part. It was well crafted. You know what I mean? I love how they implemented a lot of heritage, things from the past, things from the future. There was a particular part in the movie. Again, I said there will be spoilers. There was a particular part in the movie where the young man, one of the main characters in the movie, he was singing and he was playing his guitar, and the way they was able to bring a lot of different things that has happened, different aspects of our heritage of black people. If I have to say, everything in this movie solidified a lot of things that I already knew. And I love that it's now being spoken upon. You know, one of the things that the movie is surrounded is about root work, magic, vampires and such. But aside from the vampires, which I love, the root work, for centuries, for as long as we are as a people, as black people, whether it's voodoo, root work, spirituality in any type of form, that has always been sneered at and looked down upon because a lot of religion aspects. We live in a predominantly, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, Christian, Muslim religion, is beautiful and as riching as they are. I too was raised Catholic. I feel like it's to be understood and noted that a lot of these things and a lot of the way we pray comes from Africa, and when the Christian crusade was going on, they had to, because they wanted to be the dominant religion, they had to tear down and knock off and actually um, make as evil so people would walk away from their native religion and prayer ways. This was purposeful. It was purposeful because, again, to be a dominant anything, you have to tear down what was in the past. To see how it was put together and they paid homage to a lot of the ways of the South, how these things were still going on in that era. Segregation was still going on. The Jim Crow law was definitely on high surveillance. A lot of black people were not able to have equal rights. A lot of black people were not able to have in a consistent basis their businesses, even if they were doing good. you know their businesses was threatened because of racism. So they needed something that was their own, that they always had to go to in this pain, in this ability to express themselves. You know, a religion in any diaspora is a sense of freedom and expression. And freedom was one of the main characteristics in the movie, if not the whole thing. For me, what did I get out of the movie? Well, number one, a sense of following your own path. You know, guys, I have over the years discussed how important it is to center yourself and to really listen to your inner voice and find your own place in life, because in my humble opinion, I feel like a lot of people are really lost and depressed because they're not truly being who they were authentically meant to be in this lifetime. We are not all from the same cloth, right? But we all have a similar road. Everybody wants to be free. Everybody would love to be in a place or live in a place in their heart, in their mind's eye, where they could be authentically their own selves. But because of society laws, our families, because they love us, they just, you know, your parents, especially your parents, want the best for you. So if your dreams and aspirations are very far from the yellow brick road, you know what I talk, you know, going to work, getting your education, doing the things that supposedly, unquote, will give you a secure, and I put this in high parentheses, secure life. And you know, although it may work for a lot of people, it doesn't work for a lot of others. And I feel like 90% it doesn't work for, you know, in a sense. Yeah, your bank account may be full. You may be able to provide a great home, but there is a price. And you kind of become a walking dead of your own in your own right, because you're lost in your ability to be yourself. And now you're living kind of like a day to day where it's like, okay, I'm doing the quote unquote right thing, but why don't I feel like this is right for me? Right. And I know for myself, I've been through that road. My happy medium has been always, and I have discussed this in previous episodes, which is always doing the things that I love to do alongside with the quote unquote responsible thing. I was a young mother, and one of the things that I learned from being a young mother was always setting time for me, always setting time for the things that I love to do. And even in the smallest way, I always attempted to do that. I always made sure to educate myself in the things that um I wanted to learn, whether it was art, whether it was nature. For me, it's always nature. I'm sitting in nature right now. And I just feel like having that peace, having a piece of you that you always revisit, having that ability to give homage to the piece of you that has nothing to do with your everyday life. I remember when I was working a physical job, guys, I practice what I preach. To the best of my ability. I'm only human, but I will tell you this: when I was working a physical job, I used to dedicate, okay? I used to dedicate 90% of my weekends to creating videos, creating I would get dressed, I would put on all this makeup, you know, because, you know, you're getting on your face always looks different on camera. So I would get my face together, get dressed up, do the whole thing, right? And then sit in front of the camera and batch a whole bunch of videos. And I would celebrate with a nice meal afterwards. It would be so funny because I would have to put on these big, well, I didn't have to, but I would be starving afterwards because I would be working all day. And I would put on these shades because I didn't want to show like all that, like, quote unquote stage makeup, and go get something to eat, come back, and just like create some more, and just be in the space. So by the time Monday came, I have solidified, or I should say I've quenched that thirst to be my own self, to be an artist. I quenched the thirst, and knowing that I gave to that side of me first before I gave anything else to anyone else, nevertheless somebody else's organization. And the reason for that was I couldn't live in a world that didn't allow me to be me. I needed that. I need that like I need air. Now, I understand that this way of thinking or this way of life is not as prominent or maybe very far fetched to someone else. It is a mindset. I definitely will say that. I definitely would say that I was blessed to always be able to have this point of view. I'm a born artist. I would say, when I was born, in the 70s, it was kind of like, uh-oh, you got a colorful one here. Even in schools, they, would deem you not able to, they would say that, oh, you have a learning disability, or you're not able to follow the yellow brick road. Why? Because you are not able to function in a class the way that they saw fit. And I feel like it's because I was daydreaming. I know for me, it was a daydream situation. When I used to see my program card, my report card back in the day, that's when they used to give you, I don't know, do they still give a physical card? We used to get this card, and in the back towards the end, especially like when the semester was over, like you was about to have your summers off, my report card at the end would always say, have the potential to do better, talk too much. I guess, as far as the talk too much, hence the podcast. So there you go. I was still living in my space. But to the people that are in the space, but are now finding themselves to be in a space, because going back to the movie, right? Again, spoilers, it just solidified to a lot of people that, especially for people that are artists, and especially for the people that are taking chances on themselves finally, or making it a point to live the life that they always knew they needed to be. He was a preacher's son, and one of the big things was, the preacher was basically saying, that is devil's music. Get away from that type of way of life, because you're going to attract a lot of evil with that music, right? And we heard it before, oh, this is like child's play. What do you mean you want to start a business? What do you mean you're an artist? No one never did it before. You have a family to take care of. What about your education? Nothing is going to come out of it. This is something that has been going on from the beginning of time, because why? Our parents, they do want, it's two things that's happening in my humble opinion. They want the best for you, and they also they didn't do it. Right. So it's hard to believe in something that you didn't have the courage to seek out and do yourself. So, of course, you're going to implement fear in your children as well. For me, I feel like anybody could do anything that they want to do. The thing is consistency. Consistency is one of the things that I feel like, even for myself, I work so hard, guys, to be consistent. Have I know that I'm a one woman show, so I do hold grace for that space because it is a reality in my life, right? But at the same token, I really try not to make it an excuse, right? Have grace, yes, because I am a one woman show, but always, always have in the forefront that consistency is the main objective, along, of course, with coming before you with content that I believe in. To wrap this all up, right? I try, although I said spoiler alert, I'm trying not to really just give it all away because I do want you to go and see it, because the more of us that go out and pay, yes, to see this movie, it shows where the pendulum needs to be at, even more so, in my humble opinion. Guys, I am going to wrap this up, but what I will say is that follow your dreams. You know, your dreams is your dreams for a reason. And I hate to tell you, or I should say, I hate to break the news to you, but it's not for everybody to believe in. You know, you're blessed if you have one or two people that actually really believe in your dream, but you know, the reality of it, it's your dream. You know, God put this in your lane because you are the secret source. You have the ability to awaken the things that lie within. It's not for anybody else to believe in it. Usually, people are coming forward and they believe in you when you already know, when you have already gotten to the mountaintop. This is when usually everybody start to come out and celebrate. You know, I used to look down on that aspect and say, oh, now you want to, celebrate me. But what I realize, or I should say, what I'm coming to realize, is just that it's just part of the game. You know, it is a road left to be taken by yourself, because uh, through that road, through that journey, you are going to be learning a lot of things in your peaks and valleys, right? Because there are peaks and valleys, and depending on how you kept going, you're going to shed skin and you're going to get to the top a completely different person. And I feel like people, we always hear it's lonely at the top. There's a reason for that, you know, because there's so many things that is going to tell you that you can't make it. There's so many things that's going to tell you why you shouldn't even start. But if you are under the sound of my voice, I'm telling you to start. I'm telling you to go after that dream, guys. Check out all the links down below where you can be privy of all the things that I have available for you guys. Hey guys, leave a comment, a review, preferably 5 stars. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram, because what is popping over there? And also check out my YouTube channel to stay connected and see your girl's lovely face. Guys, I love you so much. Keep on pushing, and I'll definitely speak to you soon. Be blessed.